Greetings, people. Well, after a year of gathering pretty much all the parts I needed, I think that I am ready to put this beast together. It took a lot of research and asking around like what parts should I use, but I'm ready to build this machine, this awesome Windows 98 gaming PC. A little bit of history about this computer. This was kind of the basement computer down here for a lot of years. This current computer has Windows XP on it. I'm going to be installing Windows 98 2nd edition on it. And not only that, we used this up until about, I want to say 2010. Hasn't been used in 10 years, since I was in 8th grade, when we finally replaced it with a Windows 7 computer. Well, that computer's dead, and we had to replace that with another one, but besides the point. Now, this is an eMachine eTower 366 ID. It has, floppy drive, CD and DVD drive, and that was kind of a big selling point of this computer. Like, ooh, watch your movies on your computer, which I might even do that on this thing for the hell of it. And so anyway, because this is an eMachine, this is like, eMachines were kind of really low-end, dirt cheap, kind of crappy computers. So even the stock computer, it's not that good for gaming, because it has like some 4 megabyte ATI Rage onboard graphics thing. Although there's a few surprises in here, which I'll get to. And I want to see the actual specs of this machine. Intel Celeron processor, 366 megahertz, 32 megabytes. Well, this actually doesn't have 32 megabytes. It was upgraded to 256. Has a 4.3 gigahertz. Gigabyte hard drive, not gigahertz, sorry there. A 5-speed DVD-ROM drive. 56K modem. Ooh, 56K. And it's bundled with Microsoft Windows 98. Which, of course, this computer does not have that on there currently. And yeah, ATI 3D Rage Pro Turbo ×2 AGP graphics. 4 megabytes of RAM. And, whoa, 30 days free internet? Whoa. Okay, now, if I wanted to, I could just stick in a more powerful CPU that supports the socket in here, but I want to go way beyond that, people. Like, way beyond. Because the motherboard only supports 256 megabytes of RAM. Like, I want to do the full amount of RAM that Windows 98 supports. Which I think is 512 megabytes. I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. And even though I went over the specs, I think I'm going to open up and show the inside of this PC, because there's a surprise inside. Alright, so here's the inside of the PC. Now, all that stuff, most of it's not remarkable, but I had no idea this was in here, and when I found it, I freaked out. You probably won't be able to see it right there, but that right there is a 3D effects Voodoo 2 graphics card. Like I said, I had no idea that this was in here. Like, because I never opened up this computer. Like, I wasn't the one who bought it or put stuff or upgraded it. I mean, about a year ago, I did find a driver disk in old PC software, but I'm like, do we still have that Voodoo card? And here it is. Or for those of you who don't know, 3D Effects was a graphics company from the 90s. Like, they made graphics cards, and they were really famous. Like, unfortunately, they got bought out by NVIDIA, and the only thing that remains of 3D Effects is their SLI technology. But I was really impressed to find that in there, because I already had bought a GPU with the intent of putting it in here, and I had no idea it was in here. Like, this could change a few things. I could use this if I wanted, or I could do another build and use a 3D Effects card. Or I could buy a second card and do SLI if I wanted to, and use my NVIDIA card as the 2D card. I don't know. So with that out of the way, I want to finally get to showing you the parts I'm going to put in this machine. So for the motherboard, I will be using, as suggested by Phil's Computer Labs, great channel you should check out for retro gaming and PC stuff, an Intel motherboard, an ASRock P4i 65G with socket 478. I believe this came out in 2006, so this is one of the very last motherboards that supports Windows 98. You can do like Windows 98 and up until about like, I don't know. So anyway, this has 3 PCI slots, one AGP slot, and has all that stuff you need for like connecting like floppy and CD and all that. And this should be a good motherboard. I don't expect it to have any capacitor issues. This is much more recent technology. So yeah, there you go. For the CPU, I'll be using, of course, since it's socket 478, an Intel Pentium 4. Now, like, I chose to use the Pentium 4 because these are dirt cheap right now. This is a 2.8 gigahertz, I believe. Completely overkill for Windows 98, but it should be just good enough for all the games I want to play. Now, I could have gone like much higher than this, like 3 gigahertz plus if I wanted, but you know, $10, it's gonna give me exactly what I need. High performance, high resolution for games. It's perfect. For the fan, I got a StarTech CPU cooler and heatsink. I heard these are pretty good. For the power supply, I had to go to Tom's Hardware and ask around because, again, I'm kind of a noob to this whole computer thing, like building retro computers and all. And they pointed me to this Seasonic power supply. It's 300 watts. They said this was one of the cheapest ones that was reliable, because there's a lot of cheap ones that kind of suck. And they said this one was one of the ones that did not suck. And it has all the connectors like floppy, CD. This should give me what I'm looking for, because the power supply on that E-machine, I've heard that those power supplies absolutely suck. I heard that they're like cheap. I mean, it's an E-machine. It's a cheapo computer, so of course it's gonna suck. Anyway, that power supply is also not good enough for what I want to do, so I had to buy a new one, and I think I'll be satisfied. Now for the hard drive, I'll be using this tiny thing. I didn't expect to get this when I bought it because, again, I'm a noob at building computers. So unfortunately, because this is an M-SATA hard drive, I'm going to have to get a thing or like adapter. I can hook the M-SATA to regular SATA. So that's one of the parts I talked about earlier that I'm going to have to get in order to use this. So for the RAM, I got dual Infineon 256 megabytes of RAM. Because, of course, 512 is the maximum. Like I said earlier, Windows 98 will support. You can do 1 gig, but I prefer stability, to be honest. So these should get the job done, hopefully. Now, as for the graphics card that I bought it about a year ago in May. This is an NVIDIA GeForce 4 series graphics card. More specifically, a 4600 Ti. Now, this is one of the last graphics card series that will support Windows 98. This is kind of a sweet spot for one of the last ones. You can do the FX series, which was the one after this, and you can do the GeForce 6 series as well, but I wanted to go with this. I got this for like a little bit over $100, and I'm really excited to be able to put such a beefy GPU in such a Windows 98 machine. Alright people, that was my plans for this beast. Part 1, all the parts I wanted to use. Now, I'm not sure in the next part I will actually build it because, again, I'm a noob to this kind of stuff, so I might build it off screen. And part 2 will be me installing Windows 98. We'll see what happens, so I hope you enjoyed the video and look forward to seeing me build this overkill machine. Yeah!